I hope you weren't silly enough to think that you get to forget about fractions, because now that you've gotten pretty good at them, now we need to multiply with fractions. We're going to start out, first of all, thinking about multiplying with fractions as the same thing or very similar to adding with fractions. But you're going to have to play with it a little bit too. So this is not a graded assignment yet, but I will want a photograph of this. In fact, I am going to pull on here. You can't see this, but on my computer, I am putting on today's assignments the fact that you will need to, my computer's taking forever to load. The fact that you will need to send me a photograph of, I'm going to call it the donuts problem. While I type that in really quickly, you will notice I am showing you a page in your math folder. You can go ahead and start copying this page. You need it to show at the top that this is about multiplying fractions. This should go across from your page where we did work with borrowing fractions. So as you get this copied down, I know you can't see what I'm doing because I am recording it with a different recording device. But you should be copying down the fact that we are now multiplying fractions, and of, the word of, if you see that in a problem, it does means multiplying, but when you get to multiplying with fractions, it almost seems I'm dividing. So that's why I put the kind of part here. You need to copy down these problems. Don't write answers yet until I work it through with you, but you will want to think about them. I chose these because I chose these particular fractions because you should, especially with the first ones, you should be able to think your way through this. So if you are finding half of 6, well, you know that means it's 3. So when you say 1/2 times 6, that also is 3. Now, technically, didn't we just divide 6 into 2 pieces? Yes. The key here is we only took one of those pieces. What about half of 12? Well, the same thing. Half of 12 will equal 6. We know this. So 12 times 1/2, I have 12 things, but I'm only taking it half a time. I will have 6 of them. Again, we took 12 and divided it among our 2. Key is we only took one of them. Why is that key? Well, for what I'm about to show you. What if you take 1/3 of 6? So that means you have 6 items and you're splitting them into 3 sections. When we go to the math book in a moment, they actually draw you a model. You have your 6 items, but you're putting them into like 3 different boxes. So you're taking your 6 and dividing them among 3, which means you can only put 2 in each box. So 6 times 1/3 is the same thing as 1/3 of 6. But now, we're still taking our 6 items. We're still splitting them among those 3 boxes. So we still need to put 2 in each box, so the 3 boxes are equal. But now, I can't take just one of those boxes. I have to take 2 of those boxes. So how many dots are in 2 of my 3 boxes? That would be 4. So 2/3 of 6 is 4. Well, how does that make sense? Well, isn't 2/3 the same thing as 1/3 plus another third. 1/3 plus another third. The amount inside those 2/3 is 4. What if I take all 3/3? Well, okay, this should be obvious, but let's do it mathematically first. I take my 6 items and I split them evenly into my 3 boxes. So I end up with my 2 dots in each box. Now I'm not just taking 1/3, which has 2. I'm not just taking 2/3, which has 4 dots. I need all 3/3. So I need my 2 dots 3 times, which gets me 6 dots. 3/3 times 6 is 6. You should also have recognized that 3/3 is the same as 1 thing. So I'm taking my entire group of 6 dots. 1 times 6 is 6. Isn't that cool? All right. So now I'm going to look back a minute for you at this problem. The only part of this problem that you're going to do today is you are going to take your 1 dozen donuts and fill them in the bag. You're going to draw them. You should know what a dozen is. If you don't know what a dozen is, ask an adult, because I'm not going to tell you. I'm evil, wicked, mean, and nasty. Just ask the face-to-face kids. You've got to take your 1 dozen donuts, and you need to fill your bag. So right here is the bag. This is the only part that you are doing today. Just the bag part. So you have to figure out if you are going to get a dozen total. Half of the donuts are already in the bag. Those half of the donuts tell you how much should go in these first 2 sections. All right? So, half of the donuts are already in the bag. They are chocolate. Oops. I said that wrong, didn't I? I didn't read the whole problem. I thought I remembered it. So, the chocolate ones are right in here. They're half of the donuts. They're already in the bag. So, half of your total is in the bag, and they are chocolate. 1/3 of your total is in the bag, and they are glazed. So, we don't know how many are apple cider, but we do know 1/3 are glazed. But you can't just put the fraction 1/3. It's asking you to draw actual donuts. So 1/2 of your dozen gives you how many donuts? 1/3 of your dozen gives you how many donuts? And then how many donuts does she have to get that are apple cider in order to fill her bag, get a total of 1 dozen all the way through? Do check and see if you have a dozen total here. Do not worry about anything else on this page. Your photograph that I want is just of this part. Okay? Now, using those ideas, we are also going to go ahead and do some work in the book, but I'm going to make that a separate video.